5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the GabNet Tour bus. Today our tour will take us up and around the newly designed gabnet.net webpage. For your safety, please stay seated while the bus is in motion and enjoy your trip. Also, remember that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated. Okay, we're off. The first place of interest that we're going to pass on the top left, you'll see a rotating billboard of all of the great GabNet programs. Legend has it that legendary broadcaster Alex Bennett created this billboard to attract early visitors to GabNet and to lure them into his site. To this day, it's one of the top attractions on our tour. Up next, look over at the top right and you'll see the most recent video of Alex Bennett's Ramble. And if you're lucky enough, we'll see Alex interacting with the citizen panel. Always a tour highlight. Did I mention that tipping your tour guide is greatly appreciated? As we approach the bottom of the Ramble video, we see quick links to all the ways that you can connect with GabNet programs. Facebook Live, YouTube, TuneIn, Livestream, Vimeo, and the GabNet Roku channel. They're all additional stops that you can make if you choose to step off the bus. But remember, please tip your tour guide if you do, and then you can hop on the next bus. Here's another highlight on our tour. On the left side, you'll see GabNet On Demand. You can quickly access any of the most recent programs there. Clearly, a value spot on our tour because downloads are at no extra cost. Please give your attention now to the right side. Look at the complete tutorial on how easy it is to become a citizen panelist. By the way, if you're a Luddite, there's a phone number that you can use to dial in. Okay, we're nearing the halfway point on our trip. I certainly hope that you're enjoying it. Oh, look, there's the convenient call Skype button that you can click on, which will automatically connect you to the citizen panel. So now we're turning down the center of the page. I don't want you to miss any of these attractions, so please pay attention. Up first is a link to the 24/7 feed. Now these are going to come fast and furious, so pay attention. Next is a quick note on how you can hear GabNet on Amazon Echo. Next, quickly coming behind that, and this is always exciting, a screen that shows Alex Bennett's Ramble when it is live, with a countdown to the next show. It's always fun when we pass and the show is live. We're winding down our tour of gabnet.net, but before we reach our final stop, it's important to note that there is a place for you to contact them with your comments. Let them know how you like gabnet.net and the GabNet programming. And with that, we wrap up our tour. Remember, as you step off the bus, to please be careful. And also remember that GabNet is talk like you've never heard or seen it before. Did I mention, please tip your tour guide?
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett, host of The Ramble, heard here and seen here on GabNet, Tuesday through Fridays, live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and I got some big news for you. Our program has moved its live video from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. After extensive tests in our GabNet laboratories of at least 10 minutes, our mind was made up and we've come to the conclusion that YouTube is superior not only in video quality, but audio as well. And then there's the ease of watching it. Here's what you do. Simply point your browser to youtube.com/Bolo Bennett /live. That's youtube.com/Bolo Bennett, BOLOBENNETT /live. And you're there. The player is waiting, and you do nothing, and when the show begins, so does the player. Couldn't be simpler. In fact, tag that page as a permanent tab on your browser, and you're ready to go. And if all of this is too vexing for you, well, just go to gabnet.net near showtime, and the player in the middle of the page will start to play when we're on. We're thrilled with the new quality our move has provided, and while you're there, would you do me a favor and please subscribe to our channel? No, I beg you to. Hey, listen to me, I'm groveling, okay? I know, it's pathetic. I'm sorry, I'm debasing myself, and I really shouldn't be. please.
Reasons why you tune into GabNet. Reason number 29, the Citizen Panel.
I'm saying that he could actually, a good lawyer might be able to make a case that he cannot get a fair trial anywhere in the United States because the President of the United States said, quote, he should be executed. And if you can't find a fair jury anywhere in this country because they've all been exposed to this.
No, he'll never go to trial if he's treated as an enemy combatant.
He's not being treated as an enemy combatant, Phil.
He's basically a citizen. He has a green card. He has all the rights that a citizen of the United States has because he has a green card. Either you want to follow the Constitution of the United States or not. Go to Russia if you don't want to follow the rules.
He said that he did this for ISIS. He had a note in his thing. He had phone calls on his cell phone, and he says that he did it for ISIS. Therefore,
okay, so Phil, if you did that, you should be able to be treated as an enemy combatant.
I think so.
GabNet. Reasons to listen every day. Log on to gabnet.net for more. GabNet. It's talk like you've never heard it before. Five years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody! Oh well, I'm using the new. I'm using this system here, and it doesn't. It usually what's supposed to happen with no. Why do I always have to explain technology to you that doesn't work? You know. What happens is I'm using a different machine. I'm using my old cheese grater. I'll tell you what happened to the other machine in a second. And this one, usually if I hit the command button, it should go back and forth between pictures, but it doesn't, see? For some reason, it has decided, see, it should do this, okay? But it doesn't do that. And the other control button should maybe allow me to go back. Oh, and that one works. Well, it doesn't work going back the other way. Well, okay, anyway. Does it work? No, it doesn't work now. See? And well, anyway, I don't care whether it works or not. The only problem is all night long I'm going to have to keep going back and forth with this, with clicking and so on. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, and I'm going to have to do it this way for about a week, maybe more. I took my new machine that is the other machine, down to, oh, God, I'm sniffling now. Down to the geniuses at the Apple store. I got to tell you, this guy I dealt with today was a genius, actually. I mean, he went through all the readings and of all the failings and so on that I had. As you know, what I have as a problem was a machine that just would randomly reboot itself. I don't know why. It's what's called a kernel panic. Anyway, it had a kernel panic on any number of occasions and would do it at random moments, and I couldn't figure out when or why. So he was able to look at the logs of the crashes and be able to kind of suss out what might be happening or not be happening. For instance, customer is returning after depot repair for intermittent shutdown issues. A depot repair was when we sent it down to Houston. Remember that? Computer was practically rebuilt at depot after unsuccessful repair in store. Computer programs have been restored. Many kernel panics are logged and the customer provided printouts in case they were not available in the console. Device may restart during any task and when computer is idle and no programs are running. See, now you can know exactly what's going on here. Customers turned off all non-Apple processes and replicated crashes at home with nothing running. Computer has crashed during the middle of his live show he produces online. Steps to reproduce, unable to reproduce shutdown at this time because it's random. And the hardest thing to fix is something that's random, okay? And it says hardware diagnostics show all hardware is passing, kernel panics logged, and then it goes to what the logs were and what was having a problem, and it was a lot of stuff that was Mac related. Here's the part I like though. It says cosmetic condition like new. This thing, yeah, it does. It looks like I just bought it yesterday from the store. So now here's what they did. The last time I went down there, they took my machine and they said we can't repair it here because it's just getting too complicated. Let me turn on the air sign. Girlfriend's happier when that sign in back of me is on. Okay. Anyway, so I took it down to them because I was having problems with the graphics board. With the graphics, and they replaced the graphics board, but there was some heat problems, so they then said, we've got to send this down, we've got to send it off-site down to our main repair place in Houston, Texas. I said, how long is that going to take? They said, oh, we overnight the stuff down there, and they overnight it back. So it said it could take up to a week. Okay, so they send it down there. It comes back, I got to tell you, it comes back, and I have a list of all the things they did, okay? And what they did is they replaced almost everything in the computer. They replaced the memory, they replaced the CPU, they replaced, what else did they replace? The memory, CPU, a whole bunch of other stuff. The two display cards. They replaced almost everything inside that computer. The only thing they didn't replace was the logic board. And probably in doing this, they did something that screwed up the logic board. This guy thinks, because he says, proposed resolution send to off-site repair facility for further evaluation and repair of logic board under repeat repair. Meaning, repeat repair means I don't pay for it. They've put it, after this is through, they will have put $4,000 worth of work into this thing, and I paid $360, something like that. Yeah. So they took the machine and they're sending it back down to Houston, Texas. I wish I could get the air miles that this machine has had. This machine has been on a trip to Houston and back now. This is the second time. And I'm jealous because I don't ever get a vacation, anything like that. So anyway, I'm without that machine, so I'm with my old machine. And somehow the program I'm using, which is called OBS Studio, doesn't seem to want to dissolve back and forth. See? If I click it, it doesn't do it, right? So anyway, so we will just have to live with it. I can go into settings and I can say hotkeys, and I can say here, clear the quick transition, okay, and I can go to boom, and then I can do that, and now I have okayed it and I've upgraded it, and let's see what happens. Let's see if I push that, there it goes. See, it works, but it doesn't work again when I come back. So, well, anyway, so. That's the problem with using this machine. It's not a bad machine. It's just that it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. And somehow I didn't have any problem with the switcher last night, but I have a problem with the switcher tonight. Maybe I have to go off of that. No, I have no idea. Anyway, so it's gonna be a rough night for me because I'm gonna have to push back and forth, and maybe when I do this again next week, it won't be a problem. Okay, so I don't know. Why am I complaining about any of this? Why am I doing this? You know, why am I sitting here working with a machine that really can't handle all the traffic that I have to do? Because once the show starts, once we start getting calls on our citizen panel, guess what happens to me? Okay, guess what happens to me? I start going out of sync. Why? I have no idea. All the people who are calling me are in sync. I am out of sync, okay? And after a while, there's about a 4-second lag between when I raise my hand and when it raises my hand on the video. So please don't pay attention to that. It's going to be that way until I get this other machine back, provided when I get that other machine back, it works. And if it doesn't work anymore, I'm just giving up the ghost on everything. Although I was thinking of going out and buying a really powerful PC and just doing the whole thing on a PC, because it seems to always work well on a PC. But anyway, this is my studio here. This is, this is a different shot than we used to have over here, which is, I wish I could take the camera and move it around and show you the room and so on. But if I move it, I then have to reset it up, and it's a pain in the ass. So we just have this one static shot of me, okay? So anyway, listen, I found something, and I'm going to play it, and I put it up on YouTube to see if they would say there was any kind of a copyright problem with it. And so far, they have found no copyright problem with this particular video I wanted to show you. And it's only about 2 minutes long, but I wanted to show it to you because it shows you something out of my career that a lot of people doubt, okay? And it makes no sense at all. And I was going to bring it in and show it to you, but it doesn't matter. It is one. I've won two Emmys in my life. I'm an Emmy Award-winning talk show host. No, I'm an Emmy Award winner. I won an award. One of the awards was for being a talent and little productions that I did for a series on Channel 7 in San Francisco called Login TV. I think it was called Login TV, yeah. It was called Login TV, and I did these bits, and we put them up for, we did a demo reel, and we sent it to the Emmy people, and I won for Best Talent on a entertainment program, whatever, information. I can't remember, it says it on the Emmy. Now, the other one I got the year before, and a lot of people don't believe this, and they have urged me over and over again to return this Emmy because they consider it fraudulent. As you know, I have no history of doing sports, all right? We know that. I don't play sports. I don't watch sports. I, to this day, do not know how the game of football is played. I swear to you, on my mother's grave, which I have yet to put a tombstone on, by the way, but on my mother's grave, I testify that I do not know how football is played. And I've had some of the biggest people in the business, what's his name, Rice, the football player of the San Francisco 49ers, tried to teach me football, and he couldn't do it. And who was the other big player? Not Joe Montana, but the other guy. I'm trying to remember his name now. He tried. I had major football players trying to teach me how football works. And the problem is that when you're trying to figure out how football works, they start out with something like, well, you have to get so many downs, and then they have to explain what a down is. And by the time you get that far into it, it's too deep. Now, I know what you're saying, because you all know how football is played. You have no problem with it. I do. Okay, so anyway, I want to get my head a little bit closer to the top here. There we go. Now, is that okay? That's fine. That's good. That way it's fine. All right. Anyway, so I don't know how sports are played. A lot of sports. I know how baseball is played. I always liked baseball. I was never a fan of baseball. I love the history of baseball, and I love going to a ballpark and hanging out with friends. But so far as what's going on the field, I couldn't give a diddly squat. And I don't know who's leading in the American League this year, is leading in the National League and stuff like that. I don't know any of that. But I like baseball, and I know how it's played. I understand what you got to do. And it actually, baseball's a very simple game. But more than that, it is the most mathematically perfect game ever created, all right? Because the if those bases were 1 inch either way, it would change the whole nature of the game. That's true. I mean, I hate to say that. but it's true. It is the most mathematically perfect game ever created. The bases are just the perfect amount apart. It all makes for a great game, and the history and the lore behind the game is terrific. I think football has a somewhat brutish history of players who beat their wives and also start bar fights. But baseball, you got just a bunch of drunks who hang out with whores. All right. So anyway, that's the problem there. Okay. So I love baseball. All right, but football I don't understand. Well, the point I'm making is when it comes to sports, I really don't know diddly squat. So all of a sudden, guess what? I get an Emmy for sports. Now, what did I get an Emmy for sports for? That's what everybody says, and that's what you're about to see, okay? Because what I did was I was part of a show that was on KPIX TV. Every year they have a race in San Francisco called the Beta Breakers. It goes from the Ferry Building in San Francisco all the way out to the ocean and I think close to the Cliff House. I don't know exactly where it ends up. But it's called Beta Breakers. And every year, Channel 5 covers it, all right? And so this one year they were covering it. They asked me would I like to produce, while it's going on, something, maybe a little bit that they could then run in their wrap-up show, which went on later that day after the race. And so what we would do is we would go out, shoot the damn thing, and then we'd run back to the station and we would edit it really quickly and put it all together, and hopefully we had a nice piece that they could put in this show. So what we decided to do is we were going to call it the Lazy Man's Guide or something. I can't remember what it was now. The Lazy Man's Guide to the Beta Breakers, okay? The lazy way to do the Beta Breakers or to be involved in it. And so they hired me 3 strippers from a local strip joint to be in this thing, who you'll see. And this big limo, which was a fairly expensive prop, but hey, it was Channel 5 in San Francisco. They had money, all right? So we got this limo. And so now I've got this friend at the time. His name was Tony Tantillo. His name is still Tony Tantillo. It's just I haven't talked to him in years because every time I tried to call him, I never hear back from him. Although at that time, he was like my best friend. And he was the greengrocer on Channel 5. And so I show up, right? And he says, "Oh, you're here, Alex," because he was doing the Beta Breakers. I said, "Yeah, they hired me to, do some bit for the Beta Breakers." And then he went, oh, that's wonderful. That's terrific. And I said, "Yeah, I like it. It's lovely." And he said, "Okay." So then I go downstairs, and there are the 3 strippers and the limo, okay? And also I think there were some props like huge baskets of fruit and things like that in there. And Tony comes down to go get in a car that's waiting for him, and maybe he has to take his own car to go to the Beta Breakers. And he sees me, and I've got the limo and the 3 strippers. And he said, "How the fuck did you manage to get that?" Well, I needed them. That's all there was to it. So here is the piece, and I actually have to start it here. Here's the piece that we ran on the Beta Breakers wrap-up show. This won me, along with the other people who were on the wrap-up show, because it's the wrap-up show that won, but when something wins, the individuals in the show all win an Emmy, all right? So this is what won me my sports Emmy.
Okay, all right. Hey, hi, this is Alex Bennett. You saw the easy way to run that race. Now let me give you some helpful hints. First, you got to get a corporate sponsor. Shake. Hey, sir, the fat boy's with me. Come on. So you want to be my corporate sponsor? Who's the sponsor?
Cheese.
No, I will not be bought. I cannot be bought. What is down? I will not be bought out. I will not compromise my principles. Easy cheese, cheese platter. Do you like cheese? Here's a trick to get you through those long lines to porta potties. We're all going. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Out of there. A lot of people are in this race just to meet people, and there's several techniques you can use to do that. My particular favorite is a dog. The smaller, the better.
Come and get your love. Come and get your love.
Can you pet my dog? Anybody want to pet my dog? Anybody want to meet and pet my dog? Oh, look. Yeah, so what's your name?
Sandy.
Where do you live?
I live in San Pablo.
Are you single?
No.
Oh. Don't touch my dog. It's not working. Maybe I need a cat. Get your dog here. Get your dog here. One free dog right here. About halfway through the race, people start running out of energy, and what they need is food. You want the crispy drumstick? Hey! Well, I lost my sponsor. Come on, let me in. But at least I got my cheese, and I got my dog.
Hey, that's our cheese. And that's our dog.
All right, thanks, Alex, for those wonderful tips. I'm joined by a friend here now, Dan. This is
Okay, that was our, and that's what won me. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's what won me my Emmy. Okay, so if you ever doubt that I won an Emmy for something, I just showed you what I won an Emmy for. Let's see, where's Skype? Oh, there's Skype. Okay, I'm about ready to start up the Skype, and now this is when I start going out of sync. It all has to do with the fact with that other machine I had. I have the power to just do a nice smooth show, but I don't have that kind of power now. So we'll just have to live with it. Let's see here. Shall I open up the lines? Oh hell, I'll open up the lines. Anyway, that's how I won my Emmy, and don't ever doubt it. Okay, now. I did it. I absolutely did it. Let me see here. Let me also turn this up. Okay, we're ready now to take calls. All right. It's a fill-free night tonight. Let me make sure. I gotta where are my glasses? Here they are. It's a fill-free night tonight. Everything on Skype now is small, and also if you call us and I answer and it gets a thing saying your bandwidth is too slow. Don't worry about that. Just you're going to be hung up on, and then I will call you right back, and then you pick up, and you'll be fine, and we'll find a reason to make you a member of our citizen panel. But we're waiting for the first person to call, and Phil is not calling tonight, so it's a Phil-free night, everybody, which means we can all blast away at Trump if we want to, without it being stultified in our actions. Anyway, so I'm waiting. This could be the night nobody calls, That's always possible. Here we go. Well, Charlie's calling. Now, Charlie, you see, will not have to be called back because he's the first guy. It says, avoid legal snags by telling people they're being recorded. Charlie, turn on your camera, or let's wait till we see you here. Okay. Charlie, I want you to know that you're being recorded. Okay. Let me see here. Josh Wheeler. Now I have to call Josh back. Hold on a second. Josh Wheeler, add, and we're calling him, and so he will probably answer, hopefully. We're calling Josh Wheeler. Yes, here comes Josh, and let me go here. Let me see, do we have Josh Wheeler? Yes, we do. Okay. Josh, all right, there we go.
There he is.
Yep, there he is. Okay, so if I go to this, see, there's everybody, and I'm starting to slowly go out of sync. So.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, did you see my award-winning piece?
Oh, I see why you won the Emmy. Yeah.
But it's not just an Emmy, it's a sports Emmy.
Yeah.
You know, the last thing in the world anybody would expect. There was a sports reporter in San Francisco I used to have on my show every week. And he always used to give me a bad time about that, saying he wanted me to give back the Emmy, that I did not deserve to, under any conditions, to have a sports Emmy. But I had one, so fuck him. Anyway, and he was kind of overweight, and we did a show in my bedroom once, just from my bedroom, the whole show from my bed, and he came and sat on the edge of it and broke it.
Broke it.
And it was so embarrassing, it was ridiculous. But anyway. By the way, if you want to call us, the numbers are right down here. Gabnet Live, if you're using Skype, there's a phone number down there if you want to make the rest of us be pissed off at you because you're using a phone instead of... We can just call you Tim. That's what we can do. Anyway, how you doing, Josh?
Good, how are you?
Yeah. Well, we're waiting for other people to call so we can fill up the panel. So we could see, right now, I'm in sync. So if another couple of you call, I will go out of sync. And that will give you a feeling of great satisfaction. Okay? You know?
No Phil today?
No Phil today. No. It's a Phil-free Friday, which is, it's fine. Usually we get more people when Phil isn't here. And we just went to the phones. People could suddenly go, oh, there's no Phil, I'll call. So anyway, you people, you can call now because there's no Phil. It's Phil-free night, okay? Do it so you don't... What do they used to say on television? Call now so you don't forget. You remember that?
Yeah.
They wanted to sell you something. Call now so you don't forget. Well, I don't know if I'm going to remember this anyway. I can't even remember that you just told me not to call now so I won't forget. But anyway, so my machine is down, as you can see here, is back down in Texas, or is being shipped back to Texas for more work. If they replace the logic board, they may as well have just given me a new machine.
Yeah.
Because all that's left is the power supply. The power supply. Oh yeah, and they may replace this for all we know. I have the thing doesn't have a hard drive in it. It has 1 terabyte of memory. That's one of the reasons it works so fast. And if they replace that and the logic board, there will be nothing in that computer that came with it. So let's see what happens. Marjorie is betting that they will send me a refurb. That they will just say, forget it, here's a refurb, we know this one works, have fun, right? But we were looking for what software could cause it or whatever. The other night, I finally took it into another room after the show the other night that failed, put the cheese grater back into operation here, then went there and didn't turn anything on, didn't have any peripherals attached to it, didn't have any programs running, and it sat there and it rebooted itself. So there was something definitely wrong. I know, that's all boring, folks. Who gives a shit? So anyway, is there anything I'm missing out on in the news today? Because I didn't watch the news at all.
No, me either.
Was there something about Giuliani saying that he was going to go to the Ukraine and do something? I don't know.
There was some kind of a headline about that yesterday, and I didn't really understand the headline. That was all that I read, just because it popped up on my phone. They send me those things, and it didn't make any sense. And I thought, should I read the article? And then I thought, you know what? It's an article about Rudy Giuliani, and I really have to take a shit. I just didn't worry about it. So I don't know. Maybe he'll go and stay there.
Here comes Jeff Stein, and of course it'll say missed call, so then I have to call Jeff back. This is a separate problem. This, folks, has nothing to do with my with my situation with the machine. This just has to do, is Jeff on? It says calling Jeff Stein, so he hasn't answered yet.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that now.
Yeah. I have no idea. You know,
there's some sort of a glitch.
Well, I'm calling Jeff, but Jeff's not answering. Oh, they're calling Jeff Stein. Jeff, I'm calling you. Okay, and it won't take you because I'm going to try you again. Jeff, just pay attention. Well, now I've lost him. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I've just gotten used to the fact that it'll disconnect and then you'll call me right back.
No,
until that gets fixed, everyone's just going to have to get that as the new normal,
wow,
I suppose.
I don't have Jeff's. Okay, Jeff Stein unavailable. It says. Jeff, you got to answer your call. Okay, here you go. I'm calling you again. Now answer it. Okay, just answer it. Very simple. What comes up? It says something and it says join, right? Yeah. So he should be getting that. There we go. Well, now he's trying to call again. Jeff, come on, Jeff. Just answer the fucking call. Oh, Jeff joined. Okay. You there, Jeff? It says, Jeff Stein. Are you there, Jeff?
I got a little thing on the screen that said he joined, and then right after that, one that said he left. It's almost like he picked up and he didn't realize it, and he was hanging up at the same time or something.
Oh boy, Jeff, come on!
I have to send somebody out there to his house to.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to call him again.
Anybody live nearby?
Here, Jeff, I'm calling you again. Now just answer the goddamn Skype, okay?
Remember the 30-second delay. By the time you told him he called you and he hears it.
I'm calling you, Jeff. You should be seeing a thing that will say join, and you're not. He's trying to call again, is he? No. Calling Jeff Stein. It says, and Jeff. Oh, there's Jeff. Finally, I think. I think we got Jeff. Jeff, are you there?
Answer the goddamn visually. I can hear you.
Now turn on your camera.
I'm calling you, Jeff.
Right there.
Oh, geez, and he's got his audio on. And, there we. What is that, Jeff? Are you there? There's Jeff. Okay, let me try. Well, Jeff isn't here.
Took a snapshot.
Huh? No. There's a problem you've got, Jeff. Jeff, what is his problem? Do you notice he's grayed out, kind of?
Yeah, but I can see him like the shadow of him there.
Yeah, and he's not coming up. He's not coming up on here.
He looks fine on my screen.
Well, I don't get it.
That's good.
No.
I see my picture.
No, but we don't see you, Jeff.
All right, let's see what I can do.
Let me. No, we see you, but you're blue. You're blued out.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang up on you and wait for me to call you back and then answer. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Remove from call. Okay. There we go. Now I will go plus, and I will go Jeff Stein, and I will go add. This fucking Skype. What a bunch of fucking maroons. All right. And I'm calling Jeff, and there he goes, and there he's answered. Okay. Now let me see
now
here.
You're perfect.
Now let me see here. Let me see here. Let me cancel that, and then let me go in here and double click on that, and I will probably be able to see Jeff Stein. Here we go. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Jeff. With this new thing, when you call and you don't we don't get you immediately. You got to just wait for us to call you back, and when you see that join us. Okay. Anyway, what I was going to do is when all this was.
I'm joined.
Huh? No, you're fine.
I don't have to join.
Don't worry about it. You're on. Don't worry about it.
Anything.
Well, you're on.
We see you. We hear you.
Yeah. Let me see here. Drudge. Let me see here. I want to, because Drudge is where I'll find out all the. There we go. Drudge report. There we go. Let's see here. What does Drudge say? Lord of Amazon wants Moon's water. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that all about? Am I missing something there?
He's going for the ice that's underneath the surface of the moon.
He's going for the ice that's under the surface of the moon.
Yeah.
Why don't we just get the water here? Does he want to bottle the moon water? Is that what it's all about? You know? Doesn't make sense.
I didn't hear about this.
Have been removed from the call by another participant. It says.
No, don't worry about that, Pam. Don't worry, Pam. We've got him.
We've got him.
Let's not complicate the issue.
He's all bummed out. He can't see you.
He can't.
I'm blind.
You can't see us?
No, he can't see. Oh.
Well, I don't know why you can't see us.
Oh.
Okay, let's hang up one more time, and I will call you right back, and it'll tell you that I'm calling you. Okay?
Yeah, I'm off.
Okay. No, don't you turn yourself off. Let me turn you.
Oh, he did already.
He did already. Okay. Now we're going to call Jeff again. The name of this program tonight is Call Jeff Stein. Okay. Now it says calling Jeff Stein, and he should be here any moment. Yes, there he is. Now, can you see us?
No.
Well, then you've got something that you haven't.
Something weird.
Well, what's on your screen? Oh, he hung up on us.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
when you call me back, I have to either answer as an audio or a video call. Yeah. And I always, hit the camera for the video call button. He may be picking up as an audio call.
Well, here comes Tony Magno, and Tony can certainly master this. He's pretty good at it. Let's see here, Tony Magno. Okay.
He's been on all week.
Huh? Yeah.
He's been on all week, so he knows how to do it.
Okay, so now we're calling Tony Magno. And let me see here, number 4. Let me see, I want to get rid of that. 5, 3, there we go. Okay, all right. Tony, are you there, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, would you turn on your camera, Tony? There we go. Okay, now let me put you in the number 4 spot because I had the other spot reserved for Jeff. Let me see here. Jeff's trying to call again. This is a clusterfuck. I hate this. Okay. Here is. Let me see here. 5. There we go. Let me put on Jeff. Jeff Stein is not there, so now I will call Jeff Stein. Add Jeff Stein. All right. Come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeffy boy. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Calling Jeff Stein, it says, and then it should say Jeff Stein joined, but he won't. I bet he is hitting the speaker and not the camera, and so therefore he's just getting an audio version of it.
Possible.
Come on, Jeff. This is getting boring. Come on. Come on, Jeff.
Hit the camera to join the call.
Yeah, boy. Well, he didn't get it. So let me. What is this? Take snapshot. I don't want a fucking snapshot. What's that all about? What are all these little bells and fucking hooting whistles? Let me once again try to call Jeff and see if Jeff will do anything. Wait a minute, Jeff. Add Jeff. Okay. Now we're ringing you, Jeff. So answer. Okay. Answer. What? I'm giving up on this. This is too. I've spent 10 minutes trying to get Jeff on. There we go. There's Jeff.
I got it.
Yes. You know why? Because you probably hit the voice thing instead of the camera.
I had help on that.
Yeah. Huh?
I had help on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Pam is the literate one when it comes to computers in the family.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we spent 10 minutes. We could call this show trying to get Jeff on the air.
Yeah, that's fun.
This is great broadcasting, isn't it, folks? Don't you enjoy this? But look, I'm still in sync.
Wow.
More so than last night. But I think it takes one more person, and then I start going out of sync.
I can see your whole face.
Huh?
Maybe it is Phil that drags it down.
It could be. It could very well be. It could be that there's a plot on his part to make me.
It's like the curse of Phil. Alex.
Yeah. The curse of Phil. Well, we have Charlie. We have Josh Whedon. We have Jeff Stein, and we have Tony Magno, and then we have me. Okay, Emmy Award-winning me. Okay. Let me see.
Hey, it was your idea to get the girls.
I figured as long as they were going to pay to do this thing, I was going to get my money, and I had to go down and audition them as well. So that took it was a lot of fun. Rob Alfano is calling, so let me call Rob back. Okay, there's Rob, and add him, and I'm sure he will answer right on the button because he's
there he is.
Yeah, there he is. So it's very simple if you know what you're doing. Let me just put. Let me see here. You're at 5. Wait a minute. How are you? You're not. I don't get this. Well, maybe I'm. Let me see what the problem is here. Let me see here. Rob Alfano. There we go. There's Rob. Okay. Do we get Rob in there? His picture up there. Let me see here. There we go. We got Rob. Okay, there's Rob. Oh, and he's not in his garage where he is usually banned to smoke his cigars.
No cigar. I had one earlier, so.
In front of a picture of a baseball field, which I was talking. I was
Yankees. Yeah, Yankee Stadium.
I was talking about baseball earlier, and I was talking about it as being the most geometrically perfect game ever invented. Would that be a good, accurate description?
They want to change it now. They're talking about moving the mound back.
Wow.
Well, it is,
and they want to they want to make the bases bigger.
Well, first of all, they should not move where the bases are. What people have said
No,
is
they're not going to move the bases.
If they were an
just wanna move
inch,
the pitcher's mound back.
if they were an inch different than they are right now, it would be a whole different game. That's what.
Well, and that's what's going to happen when you make the bases bigger.
Yeah.
Why are they going to make it bigger? Are they? Are those guys getting eyesight problems? Is that it?
No, the guys are getting too tall.
Oh, really? Oh.
Well, if they move the mound back, you're going to get more runs.
Well, I think because these guys are throwing over 100 miles an hour. It's not so rare anymore that. Although they only want to move it back like 6 inches or so. Right now it's 60 feet 6 inches.
Yeah.
So
why do they want to move it back?
Well, they're trying to do something to make the game more popular with millennials, I think, and they're just trying. They want to put clocks in the game, and they want to just fuck with the game instead of leaving it alone. And it's a great game, and I'm a purist, though. I'm a purist, so
they're looking for, and I'm with you, Rob. I'm not really in favor of most of the stuff, but they're looking for some more offense that is not revolved around the home run, because the home run is a short action type of play. I mean, it's what a lot of people want, but baseball's in a phase the last 2 or 3 years, and especially this year. I mean, I see it in my own team where, guys either walk, hit a home run, or strike out.
Yeah.
And that literally is making up like 70% of the game or something like that. I mean, the walk is boring, okay? Yeah. The strikeout is boring. And the home run is excitement that lasts for like 2 seconds. So what they're trying to get is a lot more base hits, balls in the gap, et cetera, so that, there's always runners on base and there's action and, they're trying to make it, I guess, to be a little bit more appealing, like you said. But I mean, look, everyone's always trying to be football, but there's only one football. I mean, I don't know what else, you can't make it something it's not, but
well, I mean, you talk about football. Football is a fast game.
Right.
Okay. Baseball, by the nature of how the game is played and what it is a slow game. I often said that going to the ballpark is sitting there with your friends, having a beer, having some hot dogs, gaining some weight, having some good conversation, and occasionally something happens out there.
Yeah, right.
And I guess what they're trying to do maybe is create more excitement by this stuff, and you don't want to change the nature of baseball. What's lovely about baseball? Can I wax poetic about baseball?
Yeah, I like it. To me, it's
if I can wax poetic about baseball for a second, what's so wonderful about baseball is that it is a pastoral event. Okay, that everybody shows up, hangs out at a pasture, and watches people play this game, which is a very slow game, and nothing much happens. The guy's waiting to hit the ball, and he doesn't swing at it, and whatever. It's a slow game, but then all of a sudden there's some real action going on. And then it's back to slow, slow, slow. And you're never going to be able to change that without ruining baseball.
Video games and everything flying at people. Look at the television screen today. Look at any news program. Look at everything that's on the screen all at once. Everybody's attention span is really short. And people lose their interest when they sit there and watch, especially when a pitcher works slow. If there's a man on base and the catcher runs out to the mound to have a discussion, and then he goes back, then the coach comes out, then he throws over to first base, and all that, people just, today's mindset is,
yeah.
And that's it, and they're trying to change a game, make it adaptable, and that's not a very adaptive game in my opinion. And I think all the replay stuff is a bunch of hooey. And now the other day I was watching the Yankee game, and instant replay was to help get calls right, not to catch a player who took his foot off the base when he was standing up for a hot. Well, I mean, you have to really freeze the video to see that his foot came off the base and it happened to have his glove on the back of the player and he was out. That's not what, their instant replay was designed to do. And it's sad what's going on.
Yeah.
Killing it. In my opinion, they're killing the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did a lot of changes with football over the years to adapt it to making it faster, making it more action-filled, all of that.
I can't speak to football. I feel the same way you do about football.
Yeah.
I understand the game. I heard you saying you don't know how it's played. I played, football as a kid, so I understand the game, but I just don't. It just never appealed to me.
Yeah, it never appealed to me either. It's a rather loutish game, so far as I'm concerned. Has no finesse. Baseball has finesse. Baseball. You want me to tell you the difference between baseball and football? Football is what? How can I describe?
Sounded like George Carlin here. Football is a game. Love that routine.
Football is a game in which brute force is the order of the day. Baseball is a skill. Am I right or wrong about that?
Baseball. I mean, try to hit a baseball, hit 100 miles an hour. That's like
and catching it,
and it's moving.
And catching,
you've got to make a decision on that ball just about the time it's released from the pitcher's hand. It's freaking, and you're hitting a round ball with a round bat.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, it is.
I'd rather be a baseball player than a football player any day of the week. They're getting their brains beat in. In football, they're getting
baseball's a long. Think about it. You
baseball's a long career too.
Oh, not just a career; it's a long season.
Yeah,
these guys play every day with few days off, and they play beat up and they play hurt.
What is it? 154 games a year, or something like that.
162.
162. Okay, for somebody who doesn't know sports, I was pretty close. Okay.
154 is the old.
Yeah.
154 is the old one. Okay, so it's 162 now. Okay. which isn't that much more, but it's enough for them to make 10 days, 12 days worth of more money.
And then they took away the doubleheader, right? They used to have
Oh,
double
yeah, you
headers.
could go to shade.
Yeah, I remember. Oh.
You used
So
to
they
get
took
one
away
price.
those, and now you get no days off. And now, so what they do is, I think it started last year, where the union gave them some extra days off. But to do that, they extended the season earlier. Yeah. It starts earlier, which means you can wind up in a northern city and get snow or really shitty weather. So,
yeah.
The game is slow moving. There's a ton of commercials. Everything is sponsored. This pitching, this call to the bullpen is sponsored by this spit on the mound is sponsored.
Well, you know what
by,
they also do. Have you ever noticed the technology behind home base? That it's like a green screen, and they keep putting up different ads.
That's during the network games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do that for the network games. Local games don't do that. The
local games have the normal stuff, but yeah, if you go to a game that's nationally televised, or during the playoffs, when you're at the ballpark, you see a green screen. Yeah. And then they can change. I go to a ton of games because I'm a season ticket holder to the Reds. I'm a season ticket holder to the Bengals too because I love fucking football more than anything. So I mean.
So can you explain to me how it's played?
Probably not.
I'm ready to
Jim
learn.
Rice couldn't explain it to you.
I'm ready to learn.
I mean, I love now that I think the NFL game experience is better than anything.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
at home.
It's well, yeah. I mean,
I don't think it's so great. I don't think it's so great there. You freeze your ass off.
Where's that?
When you go to a football game, I went to Buffalo. I've been to Buffalo.
Oh yeah, sometimes.
You freeze your ass. I'm like, why am I sitting out here?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that part of it when it's cold. I don't know. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I went to a playoff game in maybe 2014, 2013, and it sleeted like the entire second half, and it was
okay. But I liked it.
Wait a minute.
I have a major question to ask. Okay, and that major question has to do with the actual sport of baseball in Houston, Texas. Now, when I first went to Houston, I got to know Deanie Hoffines, who was the daughter of Judge Roy Hoffines, who was the guy who started the Astros and the Astrodome. And she said, we're having a big event tomorrow. Come see it. You're going to be amazed at what you're going to see. And what they did, they had a problem with the Astrodome. They built this indoor stadium because they felt the only way that they could literally make money and to get people to come to games was to have an indoor stadium because it gets so fucking hot in Houston that nobody wants to sit outside to watch a game. And they had some baseball team. I think they had the Astros, but they didn't have this dome. So they put up a dome, and with the skylight up above it, and they started playing baseball. Well, there was a little problem with that. The players didn't like the skylight because it was all this crosshatch of beams, and when a ball went high, they couldn't see it when it was coming down to catch it. So they decided they would paint in the windows. Okay? Fine. Until the grass started to die.
Yeah.
So they used real grass at the time?
Yes. Yeah, so they invented a thing called AstroTurf. It was made by Monsanto, and that's what they debuted the day I went down there, and I was one of the first people ever to stand on AstroTurf. And that became the thing for indoor stadiums. Now, I don't think, is the dome even there anymore? Is the Astrodome there anymore?
They knocked it down.
No, I thought it was.
I thought it was still there last time I was.
Is it?
I don't know if they tore it down, but they play in a new park now. And then I worked part-time for the last probably 12, 13 years in the turf industry at a golf course. So when they built the Diamondbacks' new stadium in the late 90s when they were building it, they did a lot of work to be able to get grass that can basically grow indoors if they can just get it some natural light and some airflow, etc. At least every so often, and they've got it down now. I mean, even the indoor stadiums now have, real turf. The one in Milwaukee has real turf. Arizona has, so there's a few other indoors. I think
but
Seattle.
but here,
did they do a dome? I can't remember.
Here's
Tampa is still artificial.
Yeah, it's still artificial because it's a spaceship that crashed here that they now play.
But here's the question I have to ask. This was my big question, and that's the reason why I was getting to that. They then built an outdoor stadium and didn't stopped using the Astrodome. What do they do about the fucking heat at a game? Do people sit out there?
The new one in Houston is indoor. It's retractable roof.
Yeah,
it gets hot down there. They close it and they climate control, and they open it up during the nice weather.
Okay, so during the nice weather, the grass can grow okay, and during the bad weather, they close it.
That's what I'm saying is they tend to close these roofs for games. And during non-games, they like to leave them open, especially like when the team is on the road for 8 days, 10, 12, 12 days.
My question also is, how long does it take for that place to cool down once you close the top on it?
They've said on TV before during the broadcast, because the Reds, they used to be in the division with the Astros. When they were in the National League Central, before they switched leagues, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And the one in Houston is pretty good. I want to say it's only like the roof opens and closes in like around like 45 minutes or something, which, believe it or not, isn't bad. That's pretty quick. Yeah. And I want to say they said something like 8 hours or something.
Over in lovely and attractive Queens, they have a thing called the Arthur Ashe Stadium for playing tennis, okay?
Yeah.
And I believe it has a retractable top. And Marjorie said that they closed it one day because it started to rain, and it only took it took maybe 5 minutes. It was pretty fast.
Yeah, they've got the sports stadiums are down to a science now. I mean, because... I know Patrick, he's probably going to want to call in now and bitch. I know he's against that, but, and I told him he can't call tonight, so I told him I'd give him the shout out, whatever the fuck that is. But,
Gee, he can't call, and tonight's for the first night we've really ever talked about sports.
Right. Yeah. But, they're economic engines. Regardless of who pays for them, they're economic engines. When they built the 2 brand new ballparks in Cincinnati, in between them is stacked with business now. And that used to be like fucking shittown USA. No one went down there, especially, it's like you going to a Reds game tonight, it's like, take your fucking gun, it was terrible, It's,
First time I moved here 10 years ago, I went to Nationals Park when it first opened, and it was a shithole.
Yeah, I went there too. It was bad. It was like in the suburbs.
Well, it's down by the water, and it's really a bad area, but it has changed. I went there for opening day 2 years ago, and I was shocked by all the business and all the buildings that are going up and the business. I was like, whoa.
It seems like it takes them a while. Like they build them and the first, year or two or so isn't too great. And once they start building up around them, they start getting all these high-end steakhouses and, sports bars. And it becomes a destination, if you took the Reds and the Bengals, for instance, out of Cincinnati, I don't know what would. The fucking town would die. It would be terrible. Just because of, like you were talking about, if you play 162 in baseball, that's 81 home games. Okay. And then, you get 8, you get 10 football games. You get 8 at home, 2 preseason. That's 10. That's 90 days out of the year. That's 1/4 of the year where, anywhere from 35 to 70,000 people show up, every single night. They all park, they all eat, they all do the deal. And if you have decent teams that make the playoffs, especially if you're a multi-sport city.
Okay, but let me bring up something. Let me bring up something that actually is the main gripe of Tony. Okay, and that's the fact that the public, the cities, are expected to pay for these stadiums.
Tony or
Patrick?
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick.
He didn't want to pay for
Me too.
I tell you the truth, though, I kind of wish the Jets would have stayed. They wanted to put the Jets by the Javits Center. I wish they would have did that because there's nothing down there. I mean, the Javits Center does good for the cons and stuff, but there's really nothing down by the water. That would have revived. Now they build the train that goes all the way down to the Javits Center. That would have been the perfect spot for the Jets to come back.
You could blame the Dolans for that.
Oh, he stopped that?
They put the kibosh on that.
Because that would have revitalized that whole area down there.
Yeah.
And they're a little unique in the fact that are they the only ones, I believe, right, that share a stadium? I don't think there's any other sports teams that do. Now, sometimes you have like a soccer team that uses, but I don't count them. Fuck that. That don't fucking count. You know what I mean? But like two football teams, I don't. Does anyone else do that? I don't think so. No, that's big in baseball for spring training complexes. You got a ton of teams that share a stadium for spring training, which makes perfect sense. But it's just the Jets and the Giants sharing a stadium is, and it's not even in New York, right? Isn't it in New Jersey?
Again, what do you think about the fact that the cities usually wind up paying for these places?
When the Cowboys built their new stadium, the city had to pay for like 2/3 of it.
Yeah. And yet, who is benefiting the most from that stadium? And that is, of course, the people who own the team, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine so.
No,
how many jobs can they create? I don't know.
But if you lose the team, that's
You
not
lose
good.
all.
You don't want to lose the team. You lose a lot of revenue if you lose the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. But.
So aren't they holding your feet to the flame? Really, is what's going on.
But doesn't all business do that? That's what all business does. So Amazon wants to move somewhere, and everybody rolls out the red carpet for it, and it's just the way it is. You want to bring a lot of jobs to a location, you're going to give them breaks.
Jeff has his hand up. Jeff.
Yeah, I remember going to the Yankee team when I was a kid. And if you were like a Boy Scout or a kid, whatever, you could go cheap.
Yeah.
But nobody sits in those places anymore. They're closed in the center.
What do you mean? Where?
Well, in Yankee Stadium.
Where you mean down by the field?
Yeah.
You know why? And here's the reason. Because all the tickets down there, they call it like that horseshoe area. Those are all I think they call them legend seats. The problem is it's free food and drink. So they're not going to let people down there. They guard it. You can't get in there without showing a ticket. So it's not even like, the later part of the game, maybe we're up in the second deck and you decide you want to move down. You're not getting those tickets are about $900 a ticket for a regular season game.
Wow.
But it's unlimited food, service to your seat. I even think alcoholic beverages are included in that.
Yeah, almost every baseball stadium has
talking about the center of the whole facility. He went back the furthest place.
Oh, you mean the bleachers?
And the bleachers. They don't have
they still. Sure, they do. Oh, the Yankee Stadium has bleachers.
It used to be a lot more. Remember?
Maybe. I mean, there's still a pretty good bleacher section, and you know what? The average ticket in Yankee Stadium, believe it or not, is only about $30. That's the average ticket.
Hey, Rob, do you remember the old Yankee Stadium? I used to always take my brother to right field. The old Yankee Stadium bleachers, they were like a pack. They had us in like animals. You sat in right field. You couldn't go to any other place on the park. My brother's like, it's like a jail out here.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you
go in and then you just go out by the tree.
But it cost you $2 to get in.
It was $2 or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know how he did it, but Tom Yamaguchi called in. And it said it missed call, but somehow he got right on. I don't know how it happened. But hello to Tom Yamaguchi. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, I thought you might be interested in a Bay Area perspective on this.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
considering I know as much about sports as you do.
Oh, good. So you explain football to me.
I know as much about sports as you do.
Yeah. Well, I know. I know how. As I've said before, I know how baseball is played, and that's not. At least that's what I can do. Oh, you see, I'm out of sync now. See, thank you. You made me out of sync.
Okay, I'll hang up.
No, don't do that. No, we're happy with the way it is. I know I've got it here so that I was using my camera there, but now I'm in sync when I've got everybody there. By the way, girlfriend does not like it when I do the close-ups on you people.
I don't either.
Why?
I like seeing the whole panel. I like seeing everybody, and it gets it gets nauseating actually when you're switching back and forth from picture to picture. It's just nicer to see everybody together. It's more an internet program than I think you're trying to make it a TV program.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying various things. I can do that, and because I can do it, I do it.
It's very Brady Bunch.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, I like that.
You like the Brady Bunch look, is what you're saying.
Hey, Ron, Phil could be Johnny Bravo.
I like it when people actually get out and they go out and they get something and they come back to their seat. There's a casualness about it that's missing in formal TV.
A little too slick.
Yeah.
Well, two more people call. We could fill up these spaces down here. I just put up that thing so people can see. By the way, starting at the top, we have Charlie Wallace. We have Josh Wheeler. We have it's Wheeler, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right. Okay. I don't know why I wanted to say Whedon. I'm thinking of Josh Whedon, the television producer. Jeff Stein and Albert. Rob Alfano. By the way, Albert's going to be here in a couple of weeks. And, of course, Tony and Tommy Yamaguchi. What?
You're going to the WPLJ thing, right?
We're going to the WPLJ thing, which I
saw your posts on the New York radio message board.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get a little sick of that guy, tell you the truth.
He's really opinionated. And then you were. I like your last comment, which is ratings are. What did you say? Was it?
So ratings are the most important thing, huh?
Yeah. Well, it kind of is in a business, but I get where you're coming from.
But what he was saying is, it was iconic because it was very popular, and that's not what's iconic. I mean, hell, Hitler was iconic, and he was very popular. So I guess maybe he's right. No, I mean, when we use that as a substitute for the word good, and what happened in the beginning when we were a free-form progressive station, it was a very inventive format. And, the fact that I could do a talk show in the morning and the rest of the day people were playing music, but then they were playing whatever they brought from home, they could play whatever they wanted, was a wonderful, wonderful
art form. Yeah.
Then they came in and they started doing a playlist and the whole thing, and it became just another music station. So because it lasted so many years, it's iconic, But anyway, so I'm going to this thing, and I don't know why, because I was there at the very beginning, and all the people who were going to be paying attention to each other, the people who came there later, So.
That's true, because you think about it, you worked there when Zachary was there, and he's gone.
Well, I was there before Zachary got there. In fact, the reason Zachary came to WPLJ was he called me up and said, they want me to go to work at the WPLJ, and should I do it? And I said, absolutely. And so he took the job.
Cool.
And it could even be that I recommended him as well, but I love Zach. Zach was the best. Yes, Tom.
So I guess the subject's changed, and I can't talk about what I called it about.
Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead. I absolutely want you to.
You were talking about the public financing of stadiums, and I agree with Patrick. And I think more and more, and especially here in the Bay Area, you're seeing more and more stadiums for private financing, starting with the Giants which was HDFC Park. Now it's Oracle's got the rights to it, so it's Oracle Park. The 49ers down in Santa Clara, they financed their stadium. The A's are working to get a new downtown ballpark in Oakland. They're going to be totally privately financed. And so what's happening with the Raiders is they said, we want Oakland to buy us a new stadium. And Oakland said, screw you. And so the Raiders are going to Las Vegas, and Las Vegas is going to buy the stadium.
Yep.
So that was my comment. It's more and more, it's private financing, and it should, because these teams don't have any loyalty anyway. I mean, the Raiders didn't have any loyalty when they went down to L.A., you know?
Yeah.
So it's
But it's a lot of lost revenue for Oakland now, once they leave.
No, they've got the A's.
Yeah, but all winter long during the
Warriors.
But all winter long, how many home games? 80,000 people showing up there. That's all lost. Hotels and restaurants and all that business is gone.
Well,
you know how I feel about it. The Raiders can go fuck themselves, and here's the reason they can go fuck themselves.
Studies have shown that there's really no real economic difference.
Well, no, but
there really is no economic benefit to cities. They've done studies that prove
fuck the Raiders. Fuck the Raiders. They had a franchise in the Bay Area over in Oakland, and they had people who loved them. And then they said, "Fuck you, we're going to L.A."
Yeah.
And they went to L.A. and said, "Fuck you" to Oakland. And then after a couple of years, they got tired of L.A. and they said, "Fuck you, L.A., we're going back to Oakland." And now they're saying to Oakland, "Fuck you, Oakland, we're going to Las Vegas." And my feeling is any city that they want to go to should say, "Fuck you, Raiders." You just have no loyalty to the home the home base where you are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Vegas has been trying to get any sports franchise for a very long time.
Well, they don't have to go too far to bet on them.
I was going to say that's wild.
By the way,
right off the casino,
let me bring this up as another possible topic of what we're talking about here. And this is kind of a very interesting discussion on sports. But that my argument has always been that the main reason, especially in football, that sports exist in the first place is for the betting business.
I don't think you get that far. It drives it. It drives it.
Yeah,
more than anything,
I mean, it is the betting business that is the driving force behind a lot of these sports. Football, especially. Baseball to.
I guarantee you, Alex. If I was going to run this by you, and you guys can think about it too. Can you imagine if they just legalized sports betting? It's in Jersey now. I wonder just the amount of money that flies in on gambling. If they tax the shit out of it, we can probably put that towards healthcare.
Well, they were supposed to put the lottery towards education.
Yeah.
It never happened.
It didn't. What happened with the lottery? It didn't go to it. I thought it did.
Oh yeah, why are the schools in so much trouble? The lottery does great, doesn't it?
Yeah,
man, people buy lottery tickets, and we have schools where the teachers have to buy supplies, and every year parents are asked. When I was a kid, it wasn't like that, but you hear kids, well, we got to bring paste, and you got to get paper towels, and you got to bring all these things to school because the schools don't have them. So yeah, bullshit.
Somebody's stealing money in the Board of Ed.
Well,
of course, not about the Board of Ed, but the lottery.
Yeah. Wow.
Just so you can see, I am watching a baseball game. We've been talking about that all night.
Well, but please don't do that, because any recreation.
Yeah, you're gonna get in trouble.
Any publication, reproduction, or retransmission or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without
you'd be banned from the air forever.
Yeah, I wish they would give me the phone number of the commissioner of baseball so I can call him and see if I can get permission for you to turn your camera onto your screen over there. By the way, your background there, Josh. The question is, with your background, what are you sitting on? Isn't that some kind of a sports thing you got that you're sitting on?
The chair?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just actually a regular recliner that just has like a big blanket thrown over it.
But
basically.
is the blanket a sports blanket? Is it for some
Yeah,
sports team?
it's like a Reds comforter.
Oh, okay, all right.
If I move,
yeah. So, God, this show has a theme tonight. This really works out really fine. I'm liking this. Yeah.
The room I'm in is like this. This is my sports room. So
yeah.
I used to call from the office, but now I usually sit down here and watch the games and stuff every night. So now that I have it built.
But I mean, I honestly believe that sports exist for the servicing of these days, for the servicing of the betting industry. And
you listen to sports talk on the radio, and every commercial is for gambling. FanDuel.com and all these places where you can bet will give you your first in fact, one of them says you can bet. The first bet is a $500 bet. If you lose, they'll give you your money back on your first bet.
Well, maybe I should just try it once, huh?
Well, what they do is, so you're going to give them the 500. They'll give you back your 500, but it goes on account, which means you have to spend it again.
You can't.
It's basically a do-over.
You can't just say, "Send me a fucking check, asshole."
Yeah, no. You don't get the check. They give you your money back in the account, but it needs to be gambled again.
Yeah, it's like a credit. I think casinos usually do the same thing. Like the first time you sign up to be a member of their email club or whatever, you get a $20, swipe card you can put in the slots or whatever for like $20 or something.
That's not bad, but not 500.
Well, yeah, right.
Gee,
yeah, absolutely.
What happened to Tony? Look, there's an empty chair there, and there's that horrible wallpaper, and there are those chintz linen curtains, and I'm just wondering, if he's in the other room saying, "Oh, Mom, look what I did! I didn't mean to kill her." I
mean, he's in the fruit cellar.
Yeah, the fruit cellar. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
But speaking of that betting, I mean, I think that's what made that controversy over that fucking horse race, that Kentucky Derby, so crazy. Was I can only imagine the people that thought they had won like money, and then I don't know how long the thing took. I guess it was like a half hour later or whatever. They lost it all, and then on the flip side, there were some people, who I think I read a story in the Washington Post about a lady who didn't think she'd won anything, and then they changed the decision. She won like $250,000.
It was a long shot. It was a huge
right.
long shot.
Yeah, but the long shot was how much? It was 150 to 1 or something.
Something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But here's my question. Here's my question. They had the race. They declared the winner initially. So when do people go and collect their winnings? Immediately, or do you have to?
Works.
Typically, yeah, you go immediately. Soon as most people do.
Okay, so suppose
while you're betting your next race, you cash in.
Okay, but suppose people went and cashed in on that race, and then all of a sudden, as you say, a half hour later, they changed who the winner was.
Well, let me ask
you did everybody have to come back and return their money?
Usually when that kind of thing happens, it's up for review, and while it's up for review, nobody can cash it.
Yeah, right. Maybe that's what happened. I don't watch it, so I don't know if it happened immediately after, or if there was some kind of appeal or how long it took or whatever. I just know that I can only imagine there were some people who thought they'd won money and then didn't, and some people who didn't think they got a dime, and then all of a sudden, like I was saying, the one lady I saw an article about, she won like $255,000.
All you would have had to do was bet $100 on that horse, and you'd get $150,000, wouldn't you? Yeah, am I right?
No, something like yeah.
Or no, you'd have to bet $1,000 to get $150,000.
Yeah, right. But it was crazy. I mean, she won a shit ton of money just because of that change decision. But I don't watch horse racing, so I don't really know how long it took or anything. But I'm just glad it's over, so they stopped fucking talking about it.
Oh man. So I mean,
Now I think there's another one in a couple weeks that they run. It's like
The Belmont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the one in Saratoga.
Yes.
Don't we have a sports show on this network, and I don't think it ever sounds like this. You know.
He's a big Giants fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they're losing 4-0, so suck it.
By the way, but they got what I think is one of the greatest ballparks in America.
Where?
Okay, the Giants.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, I've been there, and it's I mean, you're sitting there, and the background for this stadium is the bay.
Yeah.
And the boats going by and so on. And
it's gorgeous.
They have McCovey Cove where people take their boats and just hang out there and wait for balls to fly out of the stadium.
Yeah. That's the game I'm watching now. So Cincinnati's in San Francisco. That's the game I just showed you, but I'd show you again, but we'd have to pay a fine.
We'd have to get the permission of the commissioner of
$385,000.
baseball, and fuck the commissioner of baseball. Who is the commissioner of baseball now?
What's
Rob Manfred?
Rob Manfred, yeah. Bud Selig retired.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm thinking about Peter Uberoff. Who was Peter Uberoff?
Football, right?
Oh,
he was
football?
a football.
Okay.
Baseball?
Oh,
maybe a long time ago. I don't know.
Peter Uberoff? He was football.
Was he?
He was the commissioner of football.
Had to have been a really long time ago, though, because Paul Tagliabue was the commissioner for forever, and then since then it's been...
Now I'm Googling.
Here comes Tony back. Is your mother still alive, Tony?
Actually, I wanted to see the last 2 minutes of the Warrior game, Golden State.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm sorry. I'm rooting for your Bay Area.
My bad. You're right. Baseball from 1984 to 1989.
Yeah.
He was the sixth commissioner.
My mother's sleeping.
Who was baseball?
Peter Uberoff.
He was baseball.
The commissioner of baseball.
Okay. All right. So I know something now. I can keep Miami again for another year.
You're doing pretty good with the sports, Alex.
Well, you know what it is? I found out that I maybe know more about sports than I'd like to think I know about sports, especially about baseball, because I really do love baseball. I mean, I love the history of the sport, the nature of the sport, the romanticism of the sport, all that. It's an amazing sport, and it has an amazing history. Football,
I'm sorry.
Basketball, bunch of,
I mean, I like all the sports, but you know what I like too about baseball? And even though I'm a Yankee fan, I like listening to the Met game because I enjoy Gary Cohen, and Keith talking when they tell the stories and they give you the insight, like Hernandez. Yeah. Some of the the announcers make it really good too.
I'll tell you an interesting story about sports, though. Me and sports. I worked at WMCA, and at that time, they had as a talk show host for the station a guy who later went on to be their play-by-play guy for the Yankees, John Sterling.
Mm-hmm. He's still a play-by-play.
Is he still there play-by-play for the Yankees?
The Yankees. I like his voice.
And one night, John Sterling was late getting to the studio, and of course I was the show before him, and they said, could you do the first half hour of the sports show while Sterling gets here? And I'm thinking to myself, oh fuck, I don't know anything about sports. I mean,
were you nervous?
But I said, okay, no, I wasn't nervous. So I said, okay, I'll do it. I bullshitted my way through a half hour.
I wish I would have called you.
To the point where people were saying, man, you're great at sports talk. And I'm just doing things like when somebody would call up and go, do you think the Yankees how do you think the Yankees are going to do this year? And I'd go, well, they got a pretty good team this year. I think there's a chance that they perhaps could win the pennant. Well, that's what they wanted to hear anyway.
You're right. I would have. Oh, thanks. I can go home and watch the game.
And I bullshitted my way through a half hour and walked away saying to myself, anybody can do sports talk, even me.
I love the sports.
But the thing about John Sterling, I'll tell you a story about John Sterling. One night, I'm in a control room. Somebody's doing a show in the main studio, and I hear this voice off. What you had was you had a control room, and then you had what was called a sound lock area, and then you had a door that went into the studio. Well, the sound lock was open, and I hear Sterling say to me, "So what do you want to do tonight?"
Oh wow!
And I looked over at Sterling and I said, I don't know. What do you want to do? And he wasn't paying attention to me. And then he kept going on. He kept going on. Well, I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? Well, I don't know. He talks to himself. He talks to himself. I mean, in the looniest, craziest way. He wasn't talking to me.
Oh my God! Do you think he's nuts?
Well, that doesn't sound like sane, does it?
It's a bit of a character.
That does sound.
Yeah,
some of these calls are terrible too. He's losing his eyesight, I think.
Is he really?
That's far it's caught. I mean, John, you can't even see the ball anymore.
He went on.
Dude, is
probably hard to judge when he's up.
He's in his.
He's 80 years old and he's still doing play-by-play.
Well, I'm 79 and I was a kid back then. Okay, so he has to be in his 80s. Yeah,
he is 80. He just hit 80.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember last year?
He hasn't missed a game in like 20 years. In all the time he's been calling Yankee games since I want to say 1990 or 91. Yeah. And he hasn't missed a game. His house burnt down.
I was going to tell you the house burned down in the city or something. Remember?
Yeah, his house.
He wasn't in it though.
No, yeah.
Michael Kay was talking about it.
Yeah,
he was okay.
He was out talking outside the place, talking to himself. I don't know.
I think he was doing his famous Bernie Williams home run call, "Burn, baby, burn."
Oh yeah, against Baltimore. I remember that. I used to.
Okay. So let's bring up another topic. As long as we're doing sports tonight, it's got some people watching it. Since we're doing sports tonight. Great sports play-by-play guys. Who are some of your favorites?
Harry Carey.
Huh?
Harry Carey.
You liked Harry Carey.
Yeah.
He had a famous phrase, didn't he? That I can't remember what it was now. What was it? I can't remember. There's some phrase like when there was a home run.
I don't know if it was. What was his?
Who was the guy who said, "Let's play too"? Was that an announcer?
That's Ernie Banks from the Cubs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There were some old guys. Like when I grew up, when I was a kid, the big guy in sports. I don't know if he was a play-by-play guy, but he was a sports reporter. Was Bill Stern.
And
it turned out, years later, it came out Bill Stern was a heroin addict.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe he did it to keep him going.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know who I like? I like Al Michaels.
Al Michaels?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember him with the Olympics and baseball and boxing.
And Tom Tom, you're sitting there going, this doesn't really...
Tom doesn't like the Giants. I love that.
No. It isn't a question that he doesn't like the Giants. He's like me. He doesn't know about sports. But give me credit, Tom. Does it sound like I know something about sports?
I have a confession. I have not been inside of that Giants stadium.
Really?
I have not. I've been on the outside of it. I've seen from the outside, but I've not been on the inside.
It's lovely. It is.
It's a great. Yeah, that's my favorite park that I went to.
It's a beautiful park. Well, I'll tell you what I like, and they've done them in recent years. They're doing them more and more. Are the baseball-only parks? In other words, the ballparks,
right? Exactly.
That are only meant for playing baseball. They're not converted into.
That's what the A's are trying to do. I mean, with the old stadium that was, they shared with the Raiders. Now the Raiders are moving out. They would have a ballpark stadium just like the Giants have, and they're going to build it, as they said, right there by Jack London Square in downtown Oakland, and hopefully get built. The Longshore Workers Union is put up a stink against it, but also like all the other AFL-CIO unions came out today in support of it, including their state assemblyman down there, Rob Bata.
Yeah.
Rob Bata.
Yeah.
And so I hope they can build it. Yeah, I hope they do.
Yeah.
But what they have is a terrible place to play baseball. Sight lines are terrible. It's like a big bowl, and you sit so far from the game. There's so much foul territory. Oh, what a horrible.
Yeah, I've been there. I've actually been to a couple of baseball games there, and I've been to more concerts there than the baseball games. But yeah, you're right. It's not the nicest place.
Right. But
by the way, Alex.
Yes.
Beta Breakers is going to be on the 19th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll have to. I guess I'll have to see if I can get a job again. Where are this?
Another Emmy.
Where can I find the strippers? You know.
So does Rob? Do you are you a fan of the Yankees manager or?
You know, in this day and age with all the analytics,
yeah,
I don't think he's much more than a cheerleader.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I was just curious. I mean, because Aaron Boone, he played here in Cincinnati for a long time, and he only played those last maybe 2 or 3 years with the Yankees. He spent most of his career here. I was just really familiar with him. I
have that iconic memory of him hitting that home run. And,
yeah.
It's just great. But I mean, I don't know what kind of real that manager is really. Today managers are. What do? They get the blame when the team loses. Yeah. But who knows, because of all the analytics today, you got all the geeks, all the guys that run the computers who were the nerds in school. Now they're running baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like it.
Yeah. The other sports question here, of course, has to deal with Kate Smith.
That's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, you being a Yankees fan, they banished her from the 7th inning, right?
That's right.
That's when they would play America.
God Bless America.
God Bless America.
Her version of God Bless America, but because she sang, that's why they created Darkies or whatever the song from the 1930s.
But she did that in a Broadway.
She write the song.
She sang it.
She sang it in a Broadway show that
she
was paid to be in. Okay,
right. It's ridiculous.
But I mean, number one, you say it's a version of America the Beautiful. What is it? God Bless America.
God Bless America. Yeah.
You say it's a version, but quite frankly, it's the only one you would ever play if you had to play a version of God Bless America. So.
Yeah, but now they have the organ player play it.
Well, here's the thing about, I said this the other night. I was talking to my friend Shecky, who happens to be a big Yankees fan. Again,
he loves the Yankees,
listens to every game, owns every baseball card ever made. Okay, chewed a lot of gum in his time. Anyway, he said that the trouble with doing this to Kate Smith is they forget what a patriot she was. She raised $1 billion for the war effort in World War II.
Oh, man, wow. That's when $1 billion was $1 billion.
That's right. But $1 billion she raised. And when you want to think about her as, well, she's racist, though, there was a performer by the name of Josephine Baker, who was she was in France, and she was a chanteuse. And she was an American who had to go to France because as a black woman, she found it hard to get gigs, okay? So she went to France, became a huge international sensation in France. And she came back to the United States and was looking for TV shows to be on, and nobody wanted her, except one, Kate Smith. And she put her on over and over and over again. Does that sound like a racist to you?
No, but that we live in this crazy world right now, so
we
just live in a crazy world, and we're rewriting history is what we're doing.
What we're doing.
All of a sudden, she's a racist for being in a play.
In 1932, she sang a song called "Why Darkies Were Born," and they were born to till the fields and do this and that. It's not a terrible song, but certainly by today's standards, at that time the term darky was considered fine and okay. I mean, say what you want to about it. You have to say you're living in a time and place. Yes, Tom. What?
Got some breaking sports news.
Oh, really? What?
The Warriors have won Game 6 of their playoffs against the Rockets
tonight.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who are the Warriors?
Golden State.
They're our basketball team. They're actually moving from the Golden State. Were actually moving from Oakland to San Francisco to another privately financed,
facility.
The Chase Center.
Yeah.
And so they're financing. They're going to have a whole bunch of concerts.
By the way, do they play any games out of Kezar Stadium anymore?
No.
So, but it's still there, isn't it?
I've been in Kezar Stadium, though.
It's still there, and it used to be home of the San Francisco Seals. Yes, that was the team when I was growing up. That was the local baseball team with the San Francisco Seals, and they
Didn't Joe DiMaggio play for the Seals?
He started with the Seals, and the Seals was I guess a farm team for I don't know who.
Maybe. No, they were part of the Pacific Coast League.
Yeah, but that didn't matter. Sometimes they were used as farm leagues, farm teams as well. You know.
And I think also Boomer, what's his name? The pitcher for the Yankees was also played on that team.
David Wells.
David Wells. I think he played on that team.
Yeah. But anyway, so DiMaggio was, started with the Seals as well. Funny story. When Bobby Slayton used to tell this story. It's not true, but he loved to tell the story. He told it like it was the truth. He says, one day I'm walking through North Beach, and I bump into Joe DiMaggio. And as a matter of fact, Joe DiMaggio lived right around the street from me.
Really?
Yeah. So he says, I was in the marina, and I bumped into DiMaggio, and I said, how do you feel about the fact that Pete Rose may beat your record? Or I think it was Pete Rose at the time.
Oh, he had
he
had like 44, I think.
And he said, DiMaggio looked at me and said, I don't care. I fucked Marilyn Monroe. So that's a story he liked to tell. Let me see here. Oh, what do you know? It's funny now when I bring people in, it says call missed, but we have Kevin here. Hold on a second. Let me give him a slot. Oh, we'll give him the number 8 slot. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. There we go. Wait a minute. I got to go here and go to Kevin. Let me see here. What does he come in as? He comes in as hog rider. That's it. Do you ride a hog by any chance? Do you ride a hog, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
You do?
Look at him. Of course he does.
Well, I mean, I guess he has to. It's required to have that kind of beard and then have to,
Yeah, it goes like this in the wind.
Yeah.
Not bad.
What was that? Oh, Irv Jackson wrote, what did he, how about, and then I lost it. Let me see if I get it here. How about Russ Hodges and the Giants? How about Russ Hodges and the Giants?
Bye-bye, baby.
Bye-bye, baby. Yeah, right. I get it everywhere. I get it up here, too, on my watch. It's Irv Jackson's message. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah. I grew up when... See, here's one of the reasons why I was stunted sports-wise. Is because when I grew up in the Bay Area. And at that time, you didn't have the Giants.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the Oakland A's. You didn't have any baseball teams. We had the San Francisco Seals, and that was it. So you didn't really pay attention to baseball. If you lived in New York, and I always told Shecky this, I was always very jealous of him because he grew up in New York, and in New York, he was able to really fall in love with their local teams. He was always a Yankees fan. There were kids who were Dodger fans. Part of the great thing about being a Dodger fan, if you lived in Brooklyn, is these guys lived in the same neighborhood with you.
Yeah, that's right.
So
they weren't rich.
As a matter of fact, you know how the Dodgers got their name?
Them bums.
No. They were called the Bums. That was their nickname. But how'd they get the name the Dodgers?
Bums.
The Dodgers.
Probably Dodgers.
That's correct. Very good. Tom, who knows nothing about sports, gets the point. There were trolley cars. There were trolley cars out there in Brooklyn, and people would, run across the street, dodging them and so on. They called them trolley dodgers, and so when they started the team, they called them the Dodgers.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, little history. See, from there, I'm going to get to keep that Emmy. Okay.
You're earning it tonight.
Yeah.
You're earning it.
But
now we got a lot of good teams in the Bay.
Yeah, but so I didn't grow up with any baseball teams, and so I didn't have that love of baseball that you would have if there were teams. And so that's the reason why I never fell in love with sports, either that or football, because for football all we had were like some college teams. You know, you had Stanford, you had UCL, you know, University of California. But other than that, you know, the sports was not predominant. So my father took me to the ballet and, you know, the symphony. And that's what I grew up. I grew up as a homosexual. So, you know. Well, how long have you lived in the Bay Area, Kevin?
All my life.
All your life. So when
I was born in San Francisco. And
yeah. So how
moved up the peninsula in 59.
Okay, so how old are you now?
60. I'll be 62 next month.
Okay, you were born in what year?
57.
50,
yeah, so you only know baseball, and you know you only know
I
the
watched
Giants.
Willie Mays, Juan Marichal, Willie McCovey, all those guys.
Yeah, I don't know from that, you know, and so I think it's that when you're growing up, if you don't have that thing going, you know, where you become hot for a team and get behind a team, you just don't have the same love for it. But I was
on top of that. My dad had a gas station in San Mateo, and we had Willie McCovey.
He froze, I think.
Yeah, he's frozen.
He froze. But he'll always be there, you see.
His wife had an orange Pinto, and he had a gold Cadillac.
I see. Okay, now you're back. You were frozen there for a moment.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that Tom Haller, the manager of the Giants, he was a customer of my dad's, and I serviced his gold Cadillac, and his wife had an orange Pinto.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I said, how does that work?
Oh, boy. So anyway, you know, I mean, oh, yes, Tom. Yes, Tom.
I was going to say that Kevin's wearing his Sharks shirt there. How the Sharks do tonight?
They didn't play tonight. They play tomorrow. But I've been to. I went to the Game 7 the other night, and I went to the Game 7 against Vegas as well.
Well, Kevin, eat your heart out. I don't know how hockey is played either, but
I'm a hockey.
I do have in my storage unit, which is being looked over by Damian Chaplin. Out in California, I have a hockey stick signed by every member of the Sharks.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
if you want to get rid of it, just let me know.
I'll will it to you. I don't care.
I worked on the stadium. I delivered all the luxury suites and the cabinetry for the dressing rooms. Because we stored all that equipment when they were building the stadium in San Jose.
I'll tell you
so
what.
I drove my truck right down onto the ice before it was even built.
I'll tell you what happened.
Pretty cool.
I had a girlfriend who was into baseball. I used to take her to the baseball game out at the Oakland A's. I knew Wally Haas, who owned the A's. So he would always give me free tickets. And the first time he ever gave me a free ticket, it was all the way up at the very top of the stadium with my back against the wall. And I yelled and screamed about that one on the air, and he got back to me and said, well, they shouldn't have done that. You know, so the next seat we had was right over the dugout, okay? And she brings her baseball mitt with her. She wants to catch a ball, but she doesn't catch a ball for the whole game, and she's very depressed about that. Well, a little bit later, a couple of weeks later, maybe a year, half a year later, I can't remember the baseball player. It was a major one, Rice. Who am I thinking of? No, that's football player.
That's football.
Who was the baseball player? Anyway, I had a major baseball player on the show, and he brought a baseball mitt and signed it for me. And all I ever got from her was, how can you have a baseball mitt signed by him and I don't have it? So I said, shut the fuck up, and I gave it to her. You know, I said, I don't want it. If it's going to cause me this much grief, I'm not that big a baseball fan, so I gave her that mitt. And I hope she has it to this day. What?
People just die for baseballs. It's funny.
Yeah.
I had season tickets to the A's for 10 years, or weekend season tickets, and got one ball out of all those years, sat in the same seats, and it was off of Bob Welch foul ball Donnie Witt, I think it was.
Yeah.
Donnie, I think that's what his name was. Shortstop, no name. I gave the ball away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Wally Haas used to give me seats finally. And I got good ones finally. But the first time it was like I was bragging to my girlfriend, hey, I've got free tickets to the because I know Wally Haas. I know the guy who owns the team. And then we're being guided up the stairs, by a Sherpa, who's taking us up to the top of the stadium, and we're up against the wall. And I go, what the fuck? And you can't even see the people on the field. They're like little dots running around. It's like you're playing Pong. She gave me a bad time for that, so I went on the air and gave him a bad time for that, and he called me and he said, I'm sorry. He said, that should have never happened. And every other time I went down. Now, I'll tell you what I did once, and this one you guys are going to love, is that they said, we'd like you to throw out the first pitch.
Oh, wow.
At a A's game. So, because again, I know Wally, and he says, would you like to throw out the first? Sure, I'd love to. What do I know about pitching? Okay, this is my pitching arm. Okay, look at that. Look at that. It wiggles a lot. Anyway, I say, how difficult can it be? So they
it don't look like a long way from on TV. But
it doesn't look like a long way when you're even in the stadium.
Yeah.
They walk you out to the mound, and they keep walking you out to the mound, and they keep walking out the mound, and you get out there, and you look at home base, and it's like it could be in San Francisco. It's that far away, and quite frankly, I throw a ball like a girl. I mean, I'm just, so I figure I got to do my best, and I take the ball and I throw it, and it gets to home base, and I hit the catcher right in the crotch. So I threw out the first ball. Yes, Tom.
I say, actually, a couple weeks ago, San Francisco's first woman fire chief retired, and was it Joanne Hayes White? Yeah, and they had a big retirement party at the stadium, and she actually threw out the first pitch, and she did fantastic. She was she was right on.
Are you saying this to make me feel bad?
Yes.
There's a lot of pressure in throwing out that first pitch.
Yeah.
That's pressure packed.
Yeah. Well, it's a long distance.
Absolutely.
It from me, and these guys are out there doing it every day, and striking people out, and they're terrific. They're terrific. You see here when we've been talking about sports today, what's the majority of sports we've been talking about? Baseball. We talked about football for a couple of minutes, and I said they're a bunch of galoots, and that's it. Who gives a fuck about football? This is just a bunch of guys who get a lot of money and get to beat up their wives. I mean, really. They're a bunch of spoiled fucking brats. Whereas baseball... What?
Apparently, lots of people give a shit about football.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't mind that these guys get, number one, brain injured, and then they beat up their wives. There's a lot of they're playing a very violent game, and we expect that when they go home, they're going to turn it off. Okay? And they don't turn it off. And
that's what I like about hockey.
That's a tough game.
What, you can throw?
Hockey is fun because they get so damn tired, but they're screaming around. They're like basketball players. They're 6'5", 6'7", screaming around 35 miles an hour, trying to catch a little rubber biscuit at 100 miles an hour, and they got weapons.
They got these big sticks that they could break your neck with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you have never been to a hockey game,
it is the best.
You can't appreciate how hard they hit when you hear them hit those boards.
Hit the board.
Like,
It is the
holy
best.
shit. It's
I used
just
I
violent.
used to love the Blackhawks.
Well,
Blackhawks.
there was a time when hockey was considered kind of like wrestling. It was considered kind of phony because they would keep getting into these fights with each other and stuff like that.
Are you sure you're not thinking about roller derby?
No, I'm thinking about hockey. Roller derby I admire because it's a very real sport. No, anyway.
Alex.
Yes.
You know, the old joke is I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah, right. Well, the point was that a hockey
they kill each other.
Used to have the reputation as being kind of phony, and it gained a better reputation as the years went on, and now is considered a pretty solid sport, you know, in Canada. So anyway,
our team's lost 4 teeth already so far in this series.
Now, why do they lose the teeth? Is that because they want to have the ability to vote for Trump? Is that the reason they lose their teeth?
Pucks to the face. Pavelski took a puck to the face and scored with it.
Really?
Yeah. First game.
Oh, wow.
Scored right off his face.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And then went to the dressing room, got his face sewed up.
Oh, wait a minute.
Went right back in the game.
Say something so we can see it. He's holding up a New York.
That's a New York Islanders puck.
There you go.
That. I used to cover the Islanders when I worked in television.
Yeah.
And you get hit in the face with this. Yeah. Holy shit.
They freeze them, too, before they go on the ice.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine what it'd be like to get hit with that hockey puck.
I met Brian Trottier just last year from the Islanders.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Why do they
4, 5 pucks right above me right
Why
now.
do they freeze them before the game?
They slide better.
Oh, is that the reason why?
Yep.
Yeah, but they must also hurt more if they hit you.
Yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, yes. Tom's got his hand up. We're getting towards the end of the show. Yes, Tom.
I say, you know, I there's something I noticed also about baseball players. More and more of them are wearing these helmets that have this piece that comes out and protects their jaw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's something I've seen. I haven't seen that until this year. They've had that move before.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
And shin guards too.
Wow.
Yeah. They really changed the game. I mean, that was a rough game. Now you can't have a collision at home plate anymore. You can't hit the guy at second anymore to try to break up a double play. You know,
if you're a horse, you can't run. If you're a horse, you can't run in front of another horse. Geez, what does it come to? You know. Anyway, there's our theme. You realize we've spent the entire night talking sports.
The franchise MC is going to be pissed off at you.
I'm sending this off for another Emmy because it is video after all. You know. Anyway, I want all of you to kind of I want to say good night to you. First of all, good night to Charlie Wallace. Good night to Josh. Good night to Jeff. Good night to Rob, to Tony, to Tom, and to Kevin. See, I get all the names fine. As the years go on, it's going to get worse. Anyway, I want all of you to give a big wave goodbye to the people out there, and I will wave back at you. Okay, there we go. There goes our citizen panel. Okay, I got to get back in sync here for my main camera, there we go. Now I'm fine because when I hang up on everybody, that's what happens. Let me see here. Let me also, come on, come here. Let me go invisible and let me turn it off so that the next show, which is the intersection with Jack Bishop, can use the Skype line. So stay tuned for that program. Hey, listen, that's it for us tonight. We're off until next Tuesday, and hopefully this equipment will keep working just as well as it did tonight. And, whatever. We'll see you right after Damien does his program, The Exchange, at 9:30 Eastern Daylight Time. At 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, we will be doing our program, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye, everybody.